So what's the date today? It's the 19th today. It's Friday the 19th. Of Friday the 19th of April 2019. We'll just go very quickly flip over to, I'm just going to, let's just share my screen here. I'm just going to jump over to, let's go over to Safari for one quick shake. It was this site here. It was quite a full-on name, isn't it? Angel of the Apocalypse Resurgence. But he's just showing a lot of, he's just showing a lot of these, a lot of different asteroids coming through at the moment. I mean, this was just very recently posted. I'm assuming these are all quite up to date. He generally does show quite up to date sort of stuff. So we just got a real uptick in asteroid sightings, which, as you know, in my if I just stop that share for one quick shake and I share my QuickTime player. Ironically, I've stopped it on there, on this flash here. When was that? That was on February the 20th. So you remember it went past us. It went past us as we expected it around, you know, late December, January. We had all the meteorites, and I'm going to show you the meteorites in a shake. But just remember this shot here. It was a massive, great, bright sphere that appeared in the sky and then just went out. In the video, it was by Channel 8 Exposed. I just took a shot of it really, but the but it just kind of went out. It just went out, and so where we are, as I call, coming up to this point in Asteroid Alley. Now, whether this is going to end up going ahead of us, I don't think it can go ahead of us at this stage, but it could be. It's very difficult to say where it's going to be now. You know, it's very, very difficult to sort of, like I say, how near or far. My model is far from correct here. It's a ballpark figure to attempt to understand how this moves overall. Anyway, let's just come out of that. That's where we are at the moment, where we're coming into this time here, and let's just go back over to Safari. Sorry, and because is it Mr. MBB? Man says, so here, man says he was shocked when he looked up and saw them, lights and static galore. I know this isn't the specific part of the video. This was kind of something that it came on. You know, Mr. MBB 333 wasn't too sure whether this light was because it had come out of focus or whether it really was kind of like something. And then just after that, it kind of just goes out, and it really it seemed very reminiscent to. Do you remember when? So this was October the 18th, 2016. I wonder if it was about that time. Well, we can see it anyway. It was Jeff P posted this back in. When did he post this? Back in, I seem to remember it was October. Might even say on there, October the 14th, he posted it. So that rings a bell. Was that 2016? Yeah. Not that bit there. We're just going to go to. It's a night sky. It's really late. It's like, what time is it there? It looks like it's between 10 and 10:30 p.m. So it's late at night, and suddenly something happens, and we can see what happens. There's absolute darkness, and then suddenly there's a surge of power somewhere. You know, I guess these pictures are going to be every 5 minutes or something like that, every minute, every 5 minutes, well, it's from 10 to 10:30 by the looks of it. So something opens up, like some massive light source, all these other planets all around this massive light, like whatever those spheres are. I mean, you can see this. I thought this was lines coming off, but this line seems to, in many places, streak down. What's happening there? Is that some kind of like this blue kachina? And let's just go a bit further forward because I'm dragging my heels with. And there it is. Suddenly we have the plasma bolt. Now, whether this is the actual thing that's caused the whole thing to come into view, is like massive, great plasma bolt, massive, great charge of power between that thing and the big glowing source there. And it's caused the obfuscation of whatever's obfuscating all of this stuff out of the night sky to suddenly shut down. Could this thing be that Mr. MBB 333 has caught the same occurrence as was caught in February earlier this year? All the times when we know for all the different passages that this thing has gone into our night sky. So let's just go back to the timeline here. Let's just move that out of the way a bit, and we're just gonna so that you can see this aspect here as this system coming around this point. It's basically, we're here, and it's beyond, nearly all of this system for most of the time since we've been observing it. All the aspects of it have been between us and the sun. So it's very difficult. It's like the moon. When the moon disappears between us and the sun, there's nothing to see. And it's right there. And you can understand all of these activities between us and the sun. So that's where we're at the moment. Just to say, I don't truly know. Really, I have no idea how this is going to play out. None of us have any clue how this is going to play out now. But we come to this sort of stretch here. And for me, like I say, the whole kind of point of me understanding the right and laughing gas and putting pretty much 13 years of my life kind of understanding this message where I was told, if you leave Europe, if Britain leaves Europe, his fate is sealed because of what it attempts to do to the rest of the world, where it is attempting to drag the rest of the world. And so we have great power in the United Kingdom to change that right now, if we want to engage in this process to salvage. At the moment, it seems that Europe is the whole kind of like thing that's been dragged out to the gallows. It's the only thing that's been dragged out to the gallows in this whole process. There's no bankers getting arrested. Tony Blair's never going to get busted. The most likeliest place Tony Blair would ever get busted for illegally going to war against Iraq and all the kind of like the toxic weapons that were used. If anyone was to be prosecuted, it would likely be Tony Blair. And the only place he would ever likely get prosecuted is in The Hague. We see all of this sort of stuff that we see Tony Blair potentially playing. He's like pro-Europe, but we see this whole game and we watch it all going around. So I thought what I'd do is I'd make this little video and I'd just go up to here, and then the latter part of this video, which I'm going to do tonight, I'm just having dinner with a friend right now, is I'm going to go through the comments section of which video is it going to be? It's going to be this video. Let's go back to Safari. It's going to be Do I run in the elections? Working through the comments today to decide, and it hasn't had many views, and there are how many comments? 139 comments. I thought I'd go through those. I thought I'd go through these. I thought I'd go through these comments with you, and we'll just answer all these questions together, and we'll just meet your kind of like your opinions, because like I say, I have basically 5 days left. Middle of next week, early next week, I've got a hand in. That's 3 working days. That's today. We've missed a day now, really, but I mean, so far I've raised £40, and for those who've donated, thank you so much. So I've got £4,960, or a little bit more, because the PayPal take a tiny percentage of each bit as well, and then even then I'd have to, if it all comes from America, I'd have to pay tax on that. So I'd have to raise like 6,000 whatever to pay the tax on it, because it would have to come from me. And so you're right now you're donating to my cause, especially because one person sent in from America £30, one person from the UK sent in £10. And so for every bit of money that comes in from America, it's to support me in my campaign, and then I can donate that in my name via my, but I have to pay tax on that money, so to speak, so that's how it works in terms of the funding. It's got to be legitimate, accountable, and that sort of stuff, and transparent more than anything else. And I think I am trying to keep it as transparent as possible, and trying to get around the legal loopholes, but realistically, I'm not going to end up raising this money, am I? And all I will say is all the money I raised through this whole process, and it doesn't look like it's going to raise a lot overall, because people are they've got Europe as the bad boy here. And it's such a tragic thing. Even when we think that we are pro-Europe, we're so unengaged in it that we're just sort of kind of standing on this kind of, in the throes, just watching the whole thing sink and being taken apart, so that we can all be led into these big trade deals. For Britain, it has terrible connotations for us, because of what I was shown is that if we are used as this Trojan horse to try and draw when a country goes to war, they tend to meet on the battlefield and they fight it out. And if one country starts losing to the other, what often happens is a nation sues the other and says, "Look, we'll just sue you. Just give us loads of money, and we'll all walk away. No more war, no more blah, blah, blah." Well, these free trade agreements take you to that place where you are in a point of absolute defeat. And then you can be sued to the tune of hundreds of billions for anything that you have lots of, that can be just raped by corporations. You're defeated. You're utterly defeated. It would tear this world to pieces, these free trade deals. We think, oh, Britain will drop back into the WTO, but the WTO was set up by Britain. We could risk isolating ourselves in ways we don't know how this will unfold. Truly, I do not know how this will unfold. But our opportunity to get involved in this EU election ends in 5 days. Chance of me getting involved and bringing my voice and my message into this. Maybe most of us think this just doesn't belong in politics. All I can tell you is that the political arena is what your ancestors fought for, so you could have a right of say, so you didn't have to stand on the outskirts of this, on the outside of this political arena and shout in. You could walk in and get involved, and this was what this process is about. And it needs people's support. Maybe I could borrow the money of a friend or something like that, or do something like that. But I can't have that type of debt. Which I don't do credit, and I don't want that type of debt hanging around my neck. If I can't raise it from people's support, then that is a fair indicator that there's 2 problems here. Number one, we've got no real interest on the outside, and number 2, maybe it's just too expensive to get involved. Maybe we could say that. But between us all, for just the amount of people I have on my channel, and I'm not blaming anyone here. This is just the way the wind is blowing. This is just the way the wind is blowing. And I'm told, absolutely without any doubt, that if we allow ourselves to be the Trojan horse to drag all of these countries into these free trade agreements, where we give up our sovereignty, everything the Brexiteers wanted to break away from, is everything that they stand to walk into if they enter into this free trade deal. enter into a member state dispute system that runs over and above your existing judicial system. You can be carved up. This isn't a fair trade where you're stopping Britain going into genetically modified food. This is the other end of the spectrum, where you allow the most terrible profiteering on a corporate level, the most terrible, unchecked profiteering on a corporate level. You agree that you can be raped. Canada didn't sign that agreement. Their sovereign would have signed to give, because whoever signs one of these free trade agreements gives up their sovereignty. You know, that's what this is all about. Canada is the most sued nation on the planet as a result of signing that agreement. So thank you again for your time. I'm sorry that, because I've been getting these messages, and I'm sorry it's not been kind of like, it's not really kind of like, a lot of people don't see the link between politics and what this is, but this is how this works. This is where you choose to align, and where you choose to align determines the outcome of this. And this is all just karma, what is unfolding. And there's much stuff that's been perpetrated, but I can promise you, from the eyes of the gods, humanity is not at war. Humanity is being subverted with war. And that is what's about to change. You are not the problem here. Is the problem is what is coming through humanity and driving humanity into the dirt, basically, and not giving it a chance, forcing it into slavery, into domination, where it gives itself up. And that's what it does when it enters these free trade. It's complete corporate right for every country that signed this to be utterly raped for corporate profit. Nothing can stand in the way of that after this. So think carefully where you want to go. We've got 5 days left. It doesn't mean that's just the end of my chance to get involved in this, bring my message into this. And so, but I have put it out there. I have tried to show support. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Honestly, I don't think it will happen. But a miracle could happen at any time, in any moment. And I feel this message needs to come in, because we're going in the wrong direction at the moment. We're going in the wrong direction. And I think many of you know that. And as the Colburn Bible says, you're not chastised and punished for the mistakes you make. You're chastised and punished for the mistakes you fail to rectify. Europe didn't do it, guys. Europe didn't do it. You know where this has been all coming from. It's not Europe. You've got to try and come out of this massive blame game. And you're going to have to voice this. You're going to have to come out, because you are the ones who pay the price. You are the ones who inherit this karmic debt. If Britain leaves Europe, we inherit a massive karmic debt because of that choice to give so much power over to this agenda in this fashion. We inherit the karma generated by this agenda. And at the moment, I can promise you, it is not our karma. It's not our karma. You don't want these wars. I don't want these wars. These are massive influencing techniques that drag us into endless war and to keep us fighting and broken. We can evolve that now. They've used Brexit as much as anything else to bring us into these free trade deals, but this is a complex thing. They've done this every 169 years. This is a very subtle trick, and it does multiple things. It divides the country down the middle. Divides the country down the middle, and then they have enormous power, enormous anger, and they can use one side against the other. What we need to do is to take away this divide and understand, for the Brexiteers, to understand that if you sign this free trade deal, you are utterly fracked on both sides of the Atlantic. You fall into this thing, America. You spent a lot. Was it I don't know what it was, which war it was. That it was the first kind of big war against Britain, wasn't it? It was the war, independence, the War of Independence. I can't remember how you say it, but against Britain. It's kind of that all over again, except that you agree that with this contract that any corporation can do anything in your country as well, if they've got enough money to buy it. And when you're printing dollars off with a monopoly money system, You know that. Money's no object. It's just bottomless pit when it's monopoly money. Take care. We'll go through the comment section later this evening, but that's pretty much it. And then those who people want to drop in and hear my answer to your comments on this and give you because we're getting a picture of what we're getting a real picture, because the last comments I went through, they were really intelligent comments. They were really, really intelligent comments and really, really diverse, intelligent people. Many of them were kind of pro-Brexit, but were giving a very kind of interest, and they were doing it without anger. And hopefully we're going to get a little bit of that, but we'll go through them all. And we're gonna. It's only 139, and we're gonna hopefully you're gonna ask me a lot of questions, and we're gonna go through it all, and we're gonna start getting a bigger picture, and we're gonna explain more, and we're gonna do this for a little bit of time, because this door closes. Like I say, for me, it closes on the 24th of April, and from the outcome of that, I will pretty much know I will get a good idea of the outcome of what's going to happen when we go through. When we come into the coming months, because what we're deciding here is going to decide the outcome of how this flyby affects us. And so maybe I'm wrong. I could be so wrong with this, but I've given you a lot of flybys so far, and I've given you a lot of information. As I've only told you into like 2011, 2012, when I published Laughing Gas, guys, they're going to try and split us away from Europe and break up the union, feed us into these free trade deals. Everyone's just like, Dave, you're mad. You're mad. We ain't going to leave in Europe. That would never happen, mate. You're off your rocker. So I don't understand, guys. You don't know how desperate they are for this. They are out, in their opinion. If they do not get this deal, they're out anyway. But they're just trying to drag as much down with them before they go. And these are just contractual agreements. And if we choose to give up our sovereignty, then we would have to accept the consequences of that as well. Of course. Look what are the consequences of all of our kind of like, look what's happening around the world. So much of it is built on our apathy in our political arena to not engage and stop these tyrants getting in. We say, oh, there's nothing we can do. Da, 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 da. Well, you know what I mean? There is something we can do. We can engage. At least we can try and engage. And so we're going to go through it. And I know loads of people say that we engaged when they voted, that was democracy, but that was a massively manipulated vote. That was a massively manipulated vote where you were just fed so much bullshit information. You were just fed so much bullshit information that many of those Brexiteers had just felt totally violated. None of these Brexiteers would want to sign a free trade agreement, apart from Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage. No one wants to enter into a free trade agreement where you're utterly fracked, where they can do anything to you, where you have no rights left whatsoever. Everything is up for corporate profit. So sorry I'm going on about this, but you will, if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But at least I have the right to an opinion. And all I'm putting is my opinion and showing the evidence of all the flybys that I've done, that I've pieced together based on the messages that I'm getting. And this is the message I'm getting, saying, don't leave, guys. You'll regret it. And it's going to take effort to reverse this process. And the place where you've got to try and bring that attention to reverse is the dividing line between the Brexiteers and the Remainers, to make them realise that they're all being played here. If you can fix that dividing line, you can stop Brexit. It's still going to be a tough old storm. It's still going to be a tough old thing to get through. This passage is not going to be easy no matter which way you slice it. But we've all got choices now on how we engage, and that's going to have a big part of who you are truly becoming in this process. Remember this, what you become in this process is what you project beyond this process. And there we're talking about what you build on for yourself. You know, many of you thinking about your retirement plans and that sort of stuff. If you want to be thinking about the biggest retirement plan, it's the type of being that you create as a result of your incarnation on this planet. That's what you take from this place. What you choose to become. Many of you have locked into blame and hate. Some of you need to. Some of you have looked into an enormous amount of compassion and forgiveness, try to understand what's going on, and not being led by these politicians into this hate and blame. Become a better human being in this person. See through this process. See through the manipulation. Europe didn't do it, guys. I know there's problems, but what we're choosing to go into here is terrifying. Take care. Comment section later for those who don't want to listen to that. Too embarrassing. Then I'll see you in the next video. But I think it's worth reviewing some of these comments because, like I say, it's going to give you a real indicator of how things are going to begin to go down in this and what's going to happen. You know, at least you can't ever say there's nothing you could do, because there is so much you can do, all of us. We can engage in every which way we can. I've put 13 years of my life to try and stop this. And because of the messages that I received. Do what you can. Do the best you can. Take care.